Cadillac is coach built once again, plus Plymouth comes to market, the Audi A3 evolves, and 2 guys win the 24 Hours of Le Mans after tossing back a few pints. All that and so much more coming your way right now.
It's time to cruise the highways and byways of the auto industry's past, present, and future. Join us in exploring the vehicles, people, events, and places that have shaped the way we move. This is the Drive History Podcast.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Drive History Podcast. I'm Brian Corey, joined as always by Jordan Stead.
That's true. I am right here. That is who I am.
That was a very bold statement.
We're keeping it real meta today, folks.
This episode, I was trying to make a Facebook joke and then I got nothing, and now I'm just going to skip over all of that.
The only joke about Facebook is Facebook itself at this point.
Yeah, right? It's not even called Facebook anymore.
It's true. I still use it, though.
Oh, yeah. I mean, speaking of which, I am on it all the time for their marketplace, because where else do you find cars besides there and Craigslist?
That's true, and I ain't paying $5 to list a car on Craigslist.
But I feel like that's where the real buyers are.
I agree. Yeah.
You know,
if you want someone who's really going to follow through, they're probably on Craigslist, which is funny because I feel like back in the day, Craigslist was like the flaky place, and now Marketplace is the flakiest place.
It's just funny to try and get people to be pissed off about trying to sell their car on Marketplace, apparently.
Is this item still available?
Yeah.
Is this item still available?
Forever.
Is this item still available?
Stop! That term haunts me.
It's true. Welcome back, folks. We are here. We're doing it up. Welcome back. This is episode 18.
We're getting up there.
Yes. We're cruising in. Almost 20? I'm feeling good. How many months is that?
You're pretty good
Do
at
math.
4.5.
Damn.
We're really ripping. We started this in February.
Yeah?
It is June.
We're still here, folks, and we hope you are as well.
Yeah, thanks for tagging along.
Yes.
Okay, but speaking of Facebook Marketplace and shopping for cars, you know us, we're always looking. But we had talked several episodes ago about just cheap cars in general. And I think last episode you had brought up the Kia EV3.
Yeah.
And it's like an affordable new electric car. So I wanted to see what the most affordable car out there is. And I was kind of surprised at how cheap it was. I really did not think that there was like a sub $20,000 car that we had talked about wanting. And you can get a 2024 Nissan Versa for $18,250.
Wow.
And it's got all the bells and whistles, Apple CarPlay, Android Auto.
That's the key right there.
It's really all you need.
It's front wheel drive. It's got to be, right?
Front wheel drive, but it gets 40 miles per gallon. And it runs on, 87 or whatever.
What does it have, 3 horsepower?
Probably.
Yeah.
3 cylinders at least.
Yeah. Big numbers.
Right? But for base transportation,
yeah,
18 grand, that's pretty good.
That's true. I can only imagine what like a CPO, with 20,000 miles on it or something costs.
Yeah.
Or do you think it's exactly the same because they're like, we're already at the base amount of money that we can possibly sell this thing for?
I think it probably costs more.
Yeah. Yeah.
You get the certified, like it's been serviced. It's
That's
actually
right.
ready to go. It didn't just come out of the factory. Like we fixed some things.
Oh, that's such like a 2020s thing that like a CPO car costs more than the new car. Right. The same exact make and model.
Oh
God, what a time to be alive.
Jeez. Well, I brought up this to you, and then you brought up how not even a car costs more than that.
This is true.
This thing is wild.
I was thinking about a Razor. You guys know Razors. Like
the little
off-road. Scooter. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they banged your ankle on, for sure.
Yeah.
No, I'm talking about the Razor, aka RZR Razor, basically off-road vehicle. Which is basically like not a golf cart. Well, it's like a super mean golf cart.
Super mean golf cart. I like that.
And I was shocked to find out that the most expensive version or trim level of the Razor is a turbo Razor, which is insane. It's literally a 4-banger turbo engine inside of this thing that has no doors, no ceiling, no insulation at all. It's just a frame over this engine, but it's got a turbo 4 engine in it.
That's wild.
This thing is 28 grand starting.
And it's not street legal.
No, at all. You can allegedly make them street legal by installing things like airbags and horns and mirrors.
Way.
Yeah, apparently.
Like those are aftermarket accessories.
I guess so.
I would not be messing around with an airbag. It's going to go off in my face as soon as I plug it in.
Totally. And also, can you imagine how much money that costs to like retrofit safety things onto an off-road vehicle?
So weird.
Yeah, so dumb. Think about this. $28,000 starting.
For a go-kart.
For a go-kart that's not road legal. That's total like rich guy stuff. That's like the level I want to be on. You're not buying $400,000 cars, but you have so little care in the world financially that you're literally buying a vehicle that can't go on the road for almost $30,000.
That's like me buying a 1903 Oldsmobile, which I haven't done yet.
Yeah, the clock is ticking.
We'll see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, I do really want to drive one of these, though. I've kind of had a little bit of this thing recently. I want to do some off-road stuff, off-road driving. I think that'd be really fun. And these things are like, in the last episode, I was talking about how small cars with turbos or superchargers sound great because the engine's so close to you. This is like the ultimate example because the engine is right in front of you and there's no sound deadening. There's no metal. There's nothing between you. There's barely even a dashboard in front of you that separates you from this Turbo 4. And so all the noises are happening all the time at top volume.
I can get down with that.
Yeah, I'm way into it. And also, my buddy Dan, I didn't know this, but I saw that he, speaking of Marketplace, listed a Turbo Razor for sale recently. And I'm like, why does this dude have this? Well, I liked it or whatever. And he goes, do you want to buy this? And I go, well, yes, but no. And
Is
I'm
it
like,
28 grand?
I don't remember how much he was selling it for. I think it was in the 20s. But I was like, why do you even have this, dude? I didn't even know you had this. And he's like, oh, I bought it to use it as a camera car.
What?
To shoot car commercials with.
Wow.
Which I guess does make sense because it's not like you're going to necessarily buy a car to shoot it, especially in the desert off-road, right? So it makes a lot of sense. And I have my background, by the way, professionally is in production, video production, photo production. So I was thinking about it. It does make a lot of sense. You could hang out of the side. You could hang out of the top. You could mount cameras everywhere. The suspension you can make it, variable. It is a great camera car. It makes a lot of sense.
It's that or a Honda Odyssey.
Yeah. True. Yeah. With the side door open, man, that's the key.
Pop the hatch.
Hell yeah. Have your buddy hold on to the back of your belt loop and just let her rip. I love that.
Here we go. That's how they filmed Fast and the Furious.
Totally. What do you got for news? What's going on?
Well, I don't know that this is news so much, but you did mention people buying $400,000 cars are also buying this Razor. Well, speaking of $400,000 cars, they recently started production of the Cadillac Celestiq. And I think I'm pronouncing that right.
Sure, yeah, it sounds exotic.
But I was blown away that this is happening, that Cadillac has finally kind of got back to its roots as a bespoke automobile builder. And so I just dug into a little bit of the options of what you can do to actually customize these cars. Yeah, there's a lot of options, but it's not as much as I kind of thought it would be. I mean, you're buying the car for what it is. Like it's one shape. You're not getting a different body. You're not getting a boat tail or a convertible or anything like that. You get the 4-door hatchback style. It's gorgeous. It's really, really beautiful. It does seem like there's only one drivetrain option, which is the 600 horsepower ultimate battery technology.
So it's an all-electric flagship.
Ultium, not ultimate.
Okay.
Yeah, it's all electric. It's all-wheel drive, has all-wheel steering, has a 300-mile range. So pretty sweet. It starts at $340,000.
God, that is just insane.
Insane. So what are the options, right? 200 different colors are available at the factory, but they will color match anything you want. So you can get any color.
It's like we were talking about with the VW Spectrum program.
Exactly. That's right. Yeah.
But that sounds even crazier, even bigger. Cool.
Yeah. Anything you want. And then they really hit hard on the interior and being able to customize it with any material you want. They'll make the interior. Like you can have leather floors. You can have imprints on the dashboard. You can have custom floor mats. You can get a different steering wheel. You can do all these things to make it, whatever you want it to be on the interior, which is pretty cool. I don't know that it comes with an umbrella in the door sill like the Rolls-Royce.
God, it better.
You'd hope so. But I was kind of surprised that they the build process for this. So when you go in, like it's this whole, like you're guided by a build expert, and they'll take you through all the options and all of this. And it only takes about an hour to 2 hours to pick out all your options, which seemed pretty quick because you go to the Cadillac house outside of Detroit and put together your car. And you also have to be vetted before you can be approved for production.
Okay, so they're trying to do like the Porsche Ferrari thing where they're like, you have to have owned these vehicles before we allow you to even talk about like this.
That. Yeah. I don't know what's on that questionnaire.
Yeah, I mean, here's my big question with this car. Who is the target market? Because somebody who's willing to spend $400,000. I mean, Jesus, like $400,000. That's Rolls-Royce money.
It is Rolls, and that's what their target is. Rolls-Royce.
I don't think anyone would even put this in the same ballpark as Rolls-Royce.
We'll find out.
I guess.
But yeah, 340 just to start, and then they're only building, obviously on demand, but they cap out at 1 to 2 per day. And they haven't said like, oh, we're only going to build 1,000 or whatever.
Yeah.
But as long as people want them, they'll build them. It seems like.
I respect that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes more sense. It's like,
that's more Cadillac.
Yeah, true. I do like that historical nod of like the more bespoke build. It does make a lot of sense. I think it also does invite the idea of it plays on a different type of buyer, not someone who's necessarily saying, I care that there's 77 of these in the world, but I just want a truly custom vehicle. I don't care how many there are because technically mine's a one of one because it's a custom build anyway.
True.
That makes sense.
True.
I like that. Although, yeah, I mean, $400,000 and this thing, just looking at the proportions of it, it's this very long, kind of almost shooting brakey style butt on this thing. I don't know if this is like a chauffeur-y car.
I don't think so. I think this is a driver's car. It only sits 4.
Man, I would love to interview someone who is going to buy one of these. That would be such an interesting thing to hear. Like, why this car?
Right.
Why is it worth it to you?
What? I would argue that there is some prestige with the Cadillac brand, but it for a long time has been not that exciting.
Yeah.
And they're digging into their history as ultimate luxury. I mean, when Cadillac was founded, it was a Rolls-Royce competitor up through the 30s, and you could get custom bodies and custom this and that and all this kind of stuff. And then it just turned into a production car. Yeah.
I would argue even in the early 2000s, remember like rappers were boasting about having Escalades?
Yeah.
Like that was like the hot rapper car to have.
Totally.
And then you see an Escalade now and you're like, well, the new ones are cool as shit.
They're pretty sick.
The Escalade 700 horsepower.
Gorgeous.
Yeah, the V or whatever, 700 horsepower. It looks awesome. They're very imposing, cool looking vehicles. But I think prior to this generation, they were very much like just like a GM recycle, right? It was the same Tahoe, Suburban, whatever thing. And it still is, right? It's still built on the same platform, but at least it looks different. It looks more upmarket. But yeah, the early 2000s, like rappers were obsessed with Escalades, and it's like you look back at them now, and you're like, "What? This is just the most basic SUV ever." And they were.
But at the time, it was.
Yeah. Although, do you think it wasn't considered bespoke though?
No, absolutely not. It was just a production car. I mean, it was just a fancy SUV.
Yeah.
And SUVs were still kind of a new thing.
True. Maybe that was the appeal. Yeah. It was like, look at this big body, sort of like pseudo luxury truckish thing that I have that doesn't really exist, but now it's about to a lot more.
Right.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah. It's pretty cool. It's interesting to see, and I'm curious how it'll go for Cadillac.
Is it cool?
I think what they're doing is cool.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say whether or not this car is particularly cool. It looks like a sedan to some degree. It looks fairly basic. It doesn't look like a Rolls-Royce. It's hard to gauge from the pictures that I've looked at how big it is. I think it's it's a little bit more imposing on the road. Like because when you see a Bentley or a Rolls-Royce, like what it is.
Oh,
it's big. So I would be curious to see this parked next to one of those cars just for comparison's sake. You
know what this thing looks like from behind? The new Toyota Crown.
Oh yeah, I could see that.
It's like that shooting brake long butt thing. And it's kind of funny because I actually saw the first Crown that I saw was the same color scheme. And I was kind of shocked by how weird it looked on the road. And now I've seen a couple more and I kind of like them, but man, they're a weird car. But anyway, this thing looks a lot like a Crown.
I can see that, yeah.
At least from the like rear 3/4 angle or whatever. Interesting. Anyway, Cool. Well, I hope we see one. And if you're one of those people that's buying this car, please hit us up. We'd love to hear about like your ethos and why you want to buy this, because this thing is very different and unique, and the approach from Cadillac is a very historical one. So it'd be cool to hear from someone.
Yes. All right. Should we get into a little bit of history?
Let's go.
All right. We're doing June 11th through June 17th this week. And we're starting things off on June 11th, 1928, when the very first Plymouth rolls out of a brand new Chrysler assembly line at the Highland Park plant outside of Detroit. The new low-price brand from Chrysler would go on sale July 7th after the vehicles were distributed to the automaker's dealer network, and Plymouth would survive until 2001, when a lot of car brands kind of disappeared around that era.
Yeah. I hate the name Plymouth.
I think I know why. There's two reasons.
Yeah. Plymouth.
Hey man, I got a Plymouth. So one is it just was supposed to evoke, landing at Plymouth Rock and like being a pioneer and like you're adventurous and that kind of thing. So there was like that marketing play to it.
Okay.
Also, Walter Chrysler's relatives had something to do with the founding of Plymouth, Massachusetts, I think.
Okay.
And so he was playing into that a little bit.
Wow.
I think I could. Yeah, I think I'm right.
Sure.
I'm just gonna go with that.
Hey, this show is all about pseudoscience.
Yeah.
And pseudofacts. But wow, that's interesting.
So,
although also just the oldest, whitest thing in the world.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's name this car after colonizers.
My buddies.
Yeah, my buddies.
Okay, what we got next?
June 11th, 1964, Jack Sears gets pulled over in an AC Cobra GT going 185 miles per hour on the M-Way motorway in the UK at 4:30 a.m. practicing for Le Mans.
I see nothing wrong here. Move along.
I love it. That's great.
Yeah, I mean, it technically is a good time to practice.
Yeah.
Of all the times to be going 185 miles an hour on the M1, I suppose 4:30 in the morning is probably your best bet.
Yeah, I would think so. Man, that just seems like such a insane speed though in 1964. And he's like, the AC Cobra is the same as the Shelby Cobra body, Ford V8.
Right.
It's just ripping. I mean, this is the time when Ford was going after Ferrari on the track, and so these little cars banged.
God, 185.
That's wild.
God, that's fast. That's like you can't even turn if you saw something speed like at all.
Oh,
like,
no.
You're done.
I wonder who pulled them over and how they got them to stop.
Yeah, they weren't in one of your old's quad bicycles or whatever they're called.
not riding a horse. Yeah. Jeez Louise. You know what else is fast?
And
furious. Nothing. June 11th, 2021, Dodge announced a new partnership with Universal Pictures to market the new Fast and Furious movie F9, the 9th installment of the franchise. Are you a fan of the movies?
Oh yeah. I mean, 1 and 2 are my favorites.
Yeah,
Very formative
OG.
for me. I've said before many times in this podcast, I believe that if we're going to make this an age thing, if you're under the age of like 38, there's probably a pretty good chance, like 90th percentile, that the reason why you're into cars is because of Fast and the Furious, at least modern cars.
Yeah.
Now, I know people of all ages have watched it, but I think that was like such a formative thing for the culture, car culture. And I think today, even it's just every day you can see the echoes of its of its influence,
especially with like the JDM stuff today.
Yeah, I know, hugely. JDM stuff I think is solely like popular because of Fast and the Furious.
That, and I would say Need for Speed and some of the other video games of the era. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I fell off, I think maybe after like Fast 6. I mean, after 3, like hot take, Tokyo Drift is not the movie that people think it is. Not my favorite, not the coolest.
It's a good airplane movie.
Yeah, totally. But yeah, I was a 1 and 2. 1 for sure is just the GOAT.
Oh, it's amazing. I remember watching it in the theater.
Same.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Real deal. June 12th, 2003, the second generation of the Audi A3 went on sale for the 2004 model year after debuting at the Geneva Motor Show. It featured a body penned by famed designer Walter de Silva, who we've talked about. He did a lot of Lamborghini, Volkswagen, other things. and was based on the PQ35 platform, which it shared with the Volkswagen Golf. Under the hood was a 1.6 liter that made 102 horsepower and it had a top speed of 115 miles per hour. That was for the base model. You're an Audi guy, about to be.
Yeah. I'm an Audi guy that's never driven one and doesn't own one. But interesting how, God, that thing is really, really slow.
Yeah.
I didn't think it was that, like, puttery.
I didn't know that it shared a platform with the Golf, but that makes so much sense.
Oh, yeah. All the things. But you are right. I am about to head out on a road trip in New England. And we were supposed to get an SQ5 SUV on Turo, still not sponsored. And I was kind of doing that because I've always wanted an SQ5. To me, it's like a very close to perfect one-car solution. The SUV size, it's fast, it's fun, it looks cool, it's luxurious, all the things. Anyway, I find out basically a day before the trip, a couple days before the trip, that the SQ5 is in the shop, go figure, and it's been replaced with an S5 Sportback 2018. So we're going from an SUV to a four-door, sort of like not shooting brakey, but like hatchbacky kind of long sedan. And it's my mom and my wife and I are going to go on this road trip, and we rented an SUV for the space. But it's interesting because the S5 is like, there's tons of room back there because of the space of the car. Yeah, I mean, it's like almost 400 horse, I think almost 400 torque. Beautiful car. I'm curious. It's going to be my first time like actually driving a modern Audi. So after all this talk,
here we go. We're finally going to have some reporting to do.
Some more content. Yeah, but who knows? Maybe I'll love it. Maybe I'll hate it. Maybe I'll be middle of the road. I don't know. Something's telling me I'm going to love it, but it's going to be an interesting change of pace from being in an SUV on this road trip versus much more of a car. So we'll see. It should be fun. Twin turbo V6.
I mean, those roads out on the East Coast are pretty fun.
It's going to be good. Yeah. New England back roads. I'm coming for you.
Don't slip on any syrup.
Yeah, that's true. I'll keep an eye out.
Yeah, you never know. June 13th, 1953. Tony Roll and Duncan Hamilton are disqualified from the 24 Hours of Le Mans for practicing in their Jaguar with the same number as another car that was currently on the track. So this is a crazy story. The legend goes that they get kicked out and they're under the impression that they're not going to be in the race. So they head to a nearby pub. Makes total sense, right? And it's just hours before the race is supposed to begin. Well, Jaguar team manager Lofty England, which is a great name, soon convinced the race officials to let them back in. And so he went out to find them. And they were a few pints deep.
Damn.
But he gets them to run back over to the track. And they make it in time for the start of the 24 Hours of Le Mans. And they spend the next day sobering up before coming to a first place overall finish.
Oh, God. We don't condone drinking and driving, but that's a pretty epic story.
Right?
Yeah.
Unreal. And, you know, there was a beer or two. It's the 50s.
That's true. It wasn't a 2-martini lunch. Maybe it was.
Maybe it was.
Yeah. Anyway, Lofty England said, "Of course, I would have never let them race under the influence. I had enough trouble when they were sober."
But he proved them wrong. Or they proved them wrong.
Yeah.
Man, that would make a good story.
That would.
I guess it did.
Yeah.
I'd watch the movie is what I was trying to say.
It's like a 15-minute movie.
There needs to be more short films.
That's right.
June 14th, 1844, Charles Goodyear receives a patent for vulcanization, a process to strengthen rubber. So he died in 1860, and a lot of people think that Goodyear's founded by Charles Goodyear, but it was not. Some other people founded it 30 years later in 1898 and just named it after him in honor of, you know, his discovery of the scientific process.
That would never happen nowadays.
No.
No way.
Well, I don't know. They named Tesla after Tesla. But that was 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Most people are a little more selfish.
I guess. I'm surprised it's not Elon's.
Well, yeah. I'm sure he tried to change the name. I mean,
yeah, you know.
Fisker made it Fisker. What are some of the other ones recently that came out? These car companies. It's either like a weird, like Rivian. What's a Rivian?
Yeah, that's true. We should do that. That should be an episode digging into the names
of car companies.
And why.
I like that.
Okay. Stay tuned for that one, folks.
I like it. Yeah, we're going to do that.
June 14th.
June 14th, 2021, Honda unveils the production version of the 11th generation of the Honda Civic, known as the FE or FL, which will go on sale for the 2022 model year. The Civic was originally introduced in 1973, and the new generation does not offer a coupe option, which I did not write in our notes. And it's the first time that it didn't have a coupe since 1983. That's pretty wild, right?
Yeah, I didn't realize that was the case.
So this like hatchbacky sedan thing is like all over the place now, it seems like, because that's what this Civic is.
Yeah, I love the hatchback version of the Civic, by the way.
I do too. It looks really good. I love that sky blue, that like bright blue color that they have on it. But I was kind of surprised. There's no two-door, there's no coupe option for this.
Interesting. Even more interesting, I guess, just from just a words standpoint here. The design approach of the model is referred to by Honda as man maximum, machine minimum. This design ethos is based on the principle that the space inside the vehicle should be maximized for the driver and passengers, whilst minimizing the space needed for mechanical components. This human-centric philosophy means that Honda owners can be assured they'll be spending time in a place that has been designed with them in mind. Seems a little lofty for what they're really trying to say. Hey, we made a car that's just comfortable, and so that's it. Man maximum, machine minimum.
How many M's can you fit in that?
Yeah, for real.
I can appreciate what they're trying to say.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to term everything these days so that people think that they're special.
Yeah.
And especially in a world of AI and machine everything, putting human people first. Human people. That's a great sentence.
Yeah, are you AI?
Are you AI? So I can get behind what they're throwing down. Have you had an opportunity to drive any Civic generation? Any generation?
Yeah, some older stuff. Nothing super crazy though. I've always wanted to drive a Type R.
Oh yeah,
just because it's sort of the gold standard. Especially the new one. I love the new.
Honestly, same. Like I was saying, always looking at like new car options, and that one comes up pretty frequently.
Yeah. Good luck getting it for anywhere near MSRP though.
That's with anything.
Yeah, for real.
June 15th, 2021, Land Rover announced road testing of a new hydrogen-powered Defender. The prototype hydrogen fuel cell electric vehicle is being developed as part of Project Zeus, the automaker's hydrogen power research project. Say hydrogen 5 times
Seriously?
too many times. And it's actually being partially funded, or was at the time, by the UK's government-backed Advanced Propulsion Centre, which is kind of interesting. I was looking around and I could not find any update on this.
Yeah, go figure.
Is hydrogen a thing still for anybody?
Well, I do like the new Defender. I think it's really beautiful.
It is.
Design is cool. Very unique, very like, it stands out. The design really stands out when you see it on the road. The hydrogen thing, I haven't dove into this enough really to have a real opinion, but if you don't know, Toyota does sell an all hydrogen powered car called the Mirai, which combines hydrogen with oxygen from the outside air to generate power without creating emissions. The problem is there's like literally 2 places that you can fill up your hydrogen car, and it's in Southern California.
Yeah, and there was more. They just shut a bunch of them down.
Yeah.
We should probably learn more about how this all works in terms of owning a hydrogen car, because it seems like a lot of companies are interested in doing it, but building out that infrastructure, just like with EVs, is going to be the toughest part.
Yeah.
And it would be amazing, because having only water as a byproduct of transportation seems pretty good for the world.
For sure. Yeah.
I would be interested to drive one.
Yeah. I wonder what the characteristics are like. I mean, I guess power is power, right?
It's like driving a washing machine.
Yeah. Spin cycle.
Yeah.
Love it. June 16th.
1903. The Ford Motor Company is incorporated, marking Henry Ford's third and his final attempt at starting a car company with his name on it. So he had actually started the Detroit Automobile Company and then the Henry Ford Company before this. Both of those fell apart. We all know what happened with Ford. Mm-hmm. It still exists today, right?
Yeah.
I think.
It does.
Yeah.
Allegedly.
Allegedly. June 16th, 1917. The Golden Submarine, a fully enclosed race car, debuts at the Chicago Board Speedway in Maywood, Illinois, and averaged 104 miles per hour, but it did not finish the race. This car is really cool. It's the first enclosed race car, like purpose-built race car.
Yeah.
It's developed by Fred Offenhauser and Harry Miller for driver Barney Oldfield, who commissioned the car after his friend and fellow driver Bob Berman died in a racing accident in which his open cockpit race car rolled over. Truly stunning. It still exists. It's gold in color, brass, whatever you want to call it. And it does look like a submarine to some degree.
Yeah, it's like a big teardrop on its side, literally gold in color, a very sort of NASA-like door to get in and out of the side of it, like very space shuttle-y. And then the front of it looks like a normal kind of extended engine hood compartment area with like bicycle-esque tires.
Very bicycle-esque tires. The spokes are
that
are like 120 spoke tires.
It looks hot as shit in there, I bet.
Oh, I'm sure. But I mean, this was kind of the advent of safety development. This is what you had to do. And it won a lot. So it featured a 289 cubic inch four-cylinder that produced 136 horsepower at 2,950 RPMs.
Wow.
And all in, it weighed just 1,600 pounds. It cost the equivalent of $357,000 and $24 to build, but it won 20 of the 54 races that it entered with Barney Oldfield at the wheel. So that's a fairly successful vehicle.
You know what this makes me think of? When you look at cars like this so long after, right? It seems so historic, right? Like, wow, look at how special this is. Look at how different this is. And it is, right?
Sure.
Especially for the time. But then you think about, we're in the age of the internet. There's so much information coming at us. And maybe this is just a personal problem, but recently I learned about the Rolls-Royce boat tail, right? Which is this hyper beautiful, custom, really wild looking vehicle, which is kind of similar to this in some weird way. Like this long kind of literally boat tail-esque end to the car.
Right.
They're like $1 bazillion, right? And I just kind of wrote it off. I read the article. I'm like, whoa, cool, expensive. Wow, looks cool. And then I sort of read
Beyonce
it off.
bought one.
Yeah, and it's weird how that is such an iconic thing, right? That was just made. And we just kind of breezed over it now because we're hearing crazy stories all the time. But then you look back at something like this, which is effectively a boat tail-esque type thing of its era. And now we look back on it and it's like, oh, this is so cool. When, we're just kind of taking a lot of stuff for granted.
That's so true. That's interesting.
Yeah, especially with these you've heard us all bitch about this before, real special edition cars, not a Toyota Corolla Apex edition. But something like the boat tail is just, it's literally a piece of art.
Well, and that car is, unlike the Cadillac Celestiq, the boat tail Rolls-Royce is handcrafted. That there's one or two of those bodies that are built. You have to commission it. You have to sit down with the designer, or this is your option.
Yeah.
It's got wood grain. Yeah, it's absolutely stunning. And that type of car building was something that existed in the 30s, with Duesenberg and Auburn and Rolls-Royce and Bentley and all these cars that were, the equivalent of $500,000 at the time.
Right.
And that just disappeared for so long. And I think we're finally getting back to that. And it gives, the ultra wealthy a way to spend their money, really.
Right.
But it also kind of opens up the daydreaming book again for car enthusiasts just to see what's happening. To me, it's cool. To me, it's really neat that these companies are getting back into it. And even Cadillac with the Celestiq, it's not entirely custom, but there's enough options where there's only going to be one of the one that you're driving.
Yeah. Yeah. Because ultimately, I would imagine most people who would be buying a boat tail or even a Celestiq, right? There may be a Celestiq someone would buy for a car, to use it as a car. Most people who are building a boat tail, all four of them or whatever, are not going to be driving this thing around. Maybe they'll take it out once or twice, but then they're going to park that thing in an underground AC controlled room and they're going to save it for 100 years.
You're going to the film premiere.
Yeah, exactly. It's literally not commissioned to be a car. It's commissioned to be a piece of art.
100%.
Yeah.
So true.
Interesting. But this was actually built to be a race car. So that's the difference here.
True. True. I mean, and it really kind of set the path for automotive safety on the track, I think. They didn't build a lot of other cars like this that I'm aware of anyway.
Well, speaking of the track, 2003.
In 2003, Ford released the Ford GT in honor of the company's 100th birthday. And these were reminiscent of the GT40 of the 1960s, which we were just talking about, Ford versus Ferrari.
What do you think about the GT?
When they first came out, I was like super amped. I think they had a V8 in those ones in 2003 or whenever. Yeah, obviously. And I think the new ones are turbo 4s? Or I don't know if they're still making them. Turbo 4s or turbo 6s or something like that. Which makes a lot of sense to me, honestly. But it kind of just takes away from like that muscle car, the power of what that car was born from, you know? It's kind of weird to say I drive this 4-cylinder hypercar or whatever they want to call it.
Well, it's changed. The engines have changed a lot over time. I guess for me, it just never really scratched the itch.
They did it for the 100th anniversary. It was totally a heritage thing.
Yeah.
And then they sold enough of them where they're like, oh, we can keep doing this.
Yeah. To me, and this is probably people are going to hate this, but when I see one, I think it's cool. It looks cool. I'm sure it's badass to drive or whatever. It doesn't give me a real emotional response.
That's fair.
Like, it doesn't feel exotic to me. Well, it's not exotic. It's
maybe
Ford,
you should
right?
talk to it like it's your therapist.
Maybe, yeah. It just doesn't feel enough for me to be that special.
Is it because it's a Ford?
No, I don't think so. The design to me, while cool, I don't know, you put that next to essentially any Ferrari or Lamborghini or some Alfa Romeos or whatever. Like, I still would prefer those looks way more than anything that the GT has going on. Don't get me wrong. It's cool. It's just,
I get what you're saying.
It doesn't give me this like, holy shit feeling when I see it.
No, I get what you're saying. I appreciate what they tried to do.
Yeah.
Also, it 100% came out at this time when all these neoclassical retro vehicles were being built. And it's the original GT, the 2003 GT, looks so much more like the GT40s of the 1960s.
Yeah.
But the most recent editions, I think they tried a lot harder to fit in with Lamborghini and Ferrari and things like that.
Right.
Did they? I'll leave that up to you.
Yeah.
June 17th, 1946, the first car phone call was placed using a system developed by Southwestern Bell, an AT&T operated company, and it took place in St. Louis. I was really blown away by this. Not necessarily because they were able to do it, but because of how quickly this technology grew. So it required an 80-pound telephone system, most of which was installed in the trunk of the car, right? But after that first call, they developed a system in most major cities and on the highways that allowed subscribers to make these calls. And within a year, they had 5,000 customers making phone calls. And it was about $200 a month and $5-ish per call.
Wow.
In modern money.
Yeah. Serious cash.
And I did not realize how quickly, not a cell phone, but just like car phone technology developed like when it first came out. And you don't hear about it again until like the 80s, really, with the cell phone.
Yeah. I wonder what those conversations were about. Like at this time. Yeah, basically. But like,
Stuck in traffic.
What are you talking about? Like,
it seems like so what I was reading is a lot of it was like trucking and it was all like business oriented.
Yeah, utility.
A lot of it was commercial purpose. But yeah, I would love to get one and just be like, call my friends. Guess where I'm at? I'll be over in 5 minutes.
And I'm like, I can't hear you, Brian.
Yeah.
Sounds like you're yelling through a bag of marbles. Maybe I'm showing my age here a little bit, but car phones to me are such an 80s, 90s thing.
Totally.
And the BMW kind of 7 Series car phone to me is like, as a child, was like the ultimate sign of opulence.
Right.
You know, like, wow, what a badass. Like, you can't even stay off the fucking phone for the drive. Like, you're so busy and you're making so much money, you had to make a phone call right now. Yeah, it's hilarious.
Sell, buy.
That's right. I wonder if those can still work. There's got to be a way to like rig those to work.
I bet. Or you just have some sort of adapter for your cell phone or something. I don't know.
That'd be sweet if you could plug your iPhone in or whatever and then still use the car phone.
That'd be so rad.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Your 80-pound telephone. You have to still talk to an operator
phone free,
to make a connection. Yeah. That'd be great. Last on our list today, we are going to June 17th, 1981, with the final Mercedes-Benz 600 rolling off the assembly line. This beast was introduced in 1963. It was an ultra-luxury sedan and limo. And over that 18-year run, just 2,677 of them were built. This thing's baller.
Yeah.
Honestly.
And the back is so cool with the seats facing
Right.
each other.
So you get the jump seats. So this is the limo version that we're looking at, and this was kind of one of those cars that I think you could customize quite a bit.
For sure.
There was a few different body styles. All of them were powered by a 6.3 liter V8. And a lot of fancy people own these things, including David Bowie, Coco Chanel, Hugh Hefner, John Lennon, Rowan Atkinson, Mr. Bean.
Yeah.
He had one.
He's a huge car freak, by the way.
I know, it's crazy.
Yeah.
So of course he would have something like this. And, Elvis Presley had one. And also, which I thought was most interesting, North Korean Supreme Leader Kim Jong-un.
Seems like a Kim car.
Yeah. You'll
Yeah.
see him driving around one of these every once in a while.
Also, this spec that we're looking at is so cool. It's like this kind of subdued bluish hue on the exterior with chrome accents, and on the inside it's just pure mustard.
Leather mustard.
Yeah, leather mustard. It's a good band name. The sheer amount of narcotics done in these vehicles must have been incredible. With that list of
Right,
buyers,
yeah. I left a lot of people off of there too. That
Yeah.
We're getting down.
unspeakable things have happened in the back of these jump seats.
Don't buy a used one.
Yeah. Wow. Yes.
My goodness. We're cruising through these.
We are. You know what we didn't get this week? No reader mail.
What?
Deep shame on all of you. If you're listening to this is your fault.
You are so rude for not writing us letters.
You're the problem. You're part of the problem.
If you really want, email me and I'll give you the address and then you can write a snail mail letter. But I need to know you're real first.
If someone did want to email you, where would they email you?
Contact@carsandcopymedia.com.
There you go.
We'll take all your questions, comments, concerns, life issues. We'll help you figure some stuff out. Follow Jordan at Jordan B. Stead on most social media accounts. Get down with us on any of the social media channels for This Day in Automotive History. And we're kicking around the Drive History Pod on Instagram. So follow us there too for some bonus content, perhaps.
For sure. But what do we have today?
We do have something interesting coming up. So I reached out to somebody to see if perhaps they want to be a guest in the near future. We've been talking about that. We're getting to the point where we should be scheduling those. And it would be fun to have some really, really, really interesting people in. So thanks to the power of the internet, I reached out to somebody. And this was the response I got when I asked if they want to be on our show. I'll let you take a quick guess as to who you think it might be. It is a pleasure to make your acquaintance. I would absolutely love to be on your podcast. I adore talking about cars, my dad, and educating kids, and anyone who is even mildly interested in any of those things. Take a quick guess.
Ooh, I don't know. Who's got a famous dad?
Kat DeLorean.
Oh.
Daughter of John DeLorean of the DeLorean.
Love it. Okay, very cool.
We're coordinating our schedules right now, and she'll be popping in here not too long.
I need to read up on some DeLorean lore and
Yeah.
facts and all the good stuff.
She was already blowing my mind with some of the things she was sharing via our little Instagram chat.
Oof.
So it should be a good episode.
Nice.
be a good
Well,
episode.
that's very exciting. Stay tuned, my friends. Thank you for listening. And Brian,
Till then, drive history every day.
bye.